Hello everybody, my name is Alexander Gear. I'm a student in PAD 4391. During this project we'll be answering the question, emergency management theory, does it exist? To do that, I will be highlighting 3 specific points. What is a theory? Emergency management definitions and explanations, and do they match up? Basically, could we create a comprehensive emergency management theory, and is there one already out there and readily available for us to study? Let's get started. We'll start by establishing our definition of a theory. In David McIntyre's 2004 paper, The Status of Emergency Management Theory, he highlights 2 main meanings of a theory. The first being the ideal or preferred condition that academics are trying to promote in the world around us. Now, this can be applied to emergency management due to the nature of the field. What we're studying when we study emergency management, we're trying to provide ideal or preferred conditions for people managing emergencies. So this definition could definitely work towards creating a working theory for emergency management. Now, the second definition he gives us is the entire body of knowledge available in the given discipline. Now, as this one's a little bit less of a definition and more of kind of a requirement for a theory, it gets a little bit harder for the field of emergency management due to how young the field of study is. But as we keep growing and learning more about emergency management, I'm sure that this can apply a little bit better to our theory. While both of those definitions could work towards a theory in emergency management, for our purposes today we'll be using a bit broader of a definition, and this one comes from the dictionary. It defines theory as a coherent group of tested general propositions commonly regarded as correct that can be used as principles of explanation and prediction for a class of phenomena. Now that we've established our definition of a theory, let's move on to answering the question, what is emergency management? Well, FEMA defines emergency management as the managerial function charged with creating the framework within which communities reduce vulnerability to hazards and cope with disasters. Now, how does this definition play into our definition of a theory? Does it demonstrate tested general propositions? Well, reducing vulnerability to hazards and coping with disasters does demonstrate tested general propositions. Now, does it help us explain and predict a class of phenomena? Well, I do believe if there was an emergency management theory, that this is exactly what it would do. It would help us explain and predict a class of phenomena, emergencies, disasters, things that we would need to manage, basically. So I think that this, in theory, we say, yes, we could make a comprehensive emergency management theory. But let's go ahead and dive a little deeper into some of the hurdles that we might hit trying to reach this comprehensive emergency management theory. Now let's see if it matches. McIntyre and Marshall list many barriers to developing a theory for emergency management. These are major questions we need to answer before we can create a working emergency management theory, such as, what is a disaster? What is emergency management? What hazards should we focus on? What variables should be explored in academic research? Now, these are some of the hurdles that need to be hurdled before we can create a working and, more specifically, comprehensive emergency management theory that would be useful enough for us in the field of study. To conclude, we have to ask ourselves another question. Does it matter? Would having a single defined theory help us, or could it even hurt us? While having a single theory could help us in defining our field of study and allowing researchers to have a starting point, a single theory could limit our thinking, excluding out-of-the-box ideas that were not covered by the theory. The theory could